On today's podcast, we're welcoming Omar Mo. Omar is a content marketing strategist. He's the founder of Nomads Cast Podcast Marketing, and he's also the host of the Nomadic Executive Podcast. Now, Omar identifies himself as a digital nomad, and I'm going to let Omar explain that in detail, but just high level. Think about having the business you want and the life you want, and being able to do that from anywhere in the world. Now, what I like about Omar's story is that he's traveled the world and he's learned from billionaires and Buddhist monks. He's taken those lessons into his business. He's also learned from mistakes that he has made in business and incorporated that, which now he wants to help others. So whether you want to learn about podcasting or you want to learn about digital marketing, such as creating systems and funnels and automation, Omar's your guy. So with that, let's have a conversation with Omar. Omar, welcome to the Business 360 podcast. Where do we find you today?
Oh, I am in Houston, Texas, aka now City of the Blizzards.
Exactly. Yeah, I hope you and your family and everyone is doing okay from everything that went on over there.
It feels like ages ago now, but thankfully it's over.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're okay and your family's okay. So I wanted the audience to get to know you a little bit. When you sent me a little bit about your bio, I found it very interesting. You said that you traveled the world and you were mentored by billionaires to Buddhist monks. Maybe just, in the next 60 seconds or 90 seconds, just give us a little story behind that.
Sure. So I left Houston back in 2016. I just graduated college, but I already knew that I wanted to go travel for as long as I wanted to. The whole reason I got my degree was so I could go travel. And even though the degree didn't work out the way that I thought it would, I ended up going to travel. So I left to Nicaragua first for about 3 to 4 months. And then from there, I dipped out to Australia, went there for a year, went all the way around. And then when I went to New Zealand for a solid year, and then I ended up in Indonesia for about 3 months, Southeast Asia for about 3 months. And then I came back to the US. So just about 3 years. Along the way, I met Buddhists that I learned from. I stayed. 2 of my friends that I met over there in New Zealand had just come from, I think it was China, some part, Shanghai, somewhere around there. And I stayed with them for a few weeks. We met in a hostel and they were the full-on monks with no hair, all of that. They were going on some sort of travel mission trip or something. I forget what it was exactly. Learned a lot from them about stillness, learned a lot from them about meditation. They got me on meditation. They got me on spirituality and I even tried something called, I forget what it was now, Vipassana. I tried something called Vipassana meditation with those guys. So that was interesting. I learned from a guy named Trevor Milton, who was a billionaire, who now is a defunct billionaire. And maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't. But at that time, he was going pretty high, and I learned from him. I learned a lot about just how he made his business so quickly and what it takes to scale his businesses and his past failures and things like that. And I learned from a lot of successful business owners going from networking events at these places. And yeah, I was really a student for those 3 years, not only of business, but of travel and of life. So it was an interesting time in my life.
So, I want to get right into it. You have a podcast called The Nomadic Executive. So why don't you tell the audience what that specifically is and what that podcast is about?
It's funny. I think the podcast has evolved over the past few months. It started off just kind of like I loved travel and I loved business and I wanted to intersect both of them. And I found out about this term called digital nomad maybe about 2 years ago. So I made it first at most to appeal to other digital nomads that wanted to listen to it. But as I started going down the road, I realized that I liked the entrepreneurship side much more than just talking about foods that you can eat in different countries or travel and things like that. So I started pivoting and it became really niche to where creating service-based businesses online that you can make whenever you travel anywhere in the world. So it's like a mixture of the digital nomad lifestyle, but specifically gearing more towards entrepreneurship-based, service-based businesses online.
So for those that don't know what a digital nomad is, maybe you can explain that in a little more detail.
Sure. So really, it's just a fancy term, and everyone honestly these days is a digital nomad to some certain degree, but it's essentially a fancy term for a remote worker, but that travels as well. And then there's even a deeper like a subsect of it that are people that are locationally independent. And I'm sure this word's been thrown around quite often. Tim Ferriss coined it at first. And essentially what that means is there's a non-locationally independent digital nomad who can travel to like cheap places like Vietnam, Bali, Thailand, and live a really, really great life. But then there's a locationally independent entrepreneur, or AKA digital nomad, who can travel anywhere in the world, work on their business from their laptop, and make good money.
So I was going to ask you then, what is the advantages and disadvantages for being a digital nomad? But, I think maybe the question is, who is the digital nomad life for? Like, who's the ideal person that would enjoy that? Because you said it correctly. Everyone is, lack of a better way, a digital nomad because of the pandemic, right? But, if for those that want to travel to the Balis of the world and those beautiful islands and work, who's the ideal target person that is the digital nomad lifestyle is for?
Right. I used to come from the context of it should be for everybody, because I think there's so much growth when it comes to travel in this world, and the world is so open to us. Maybe less open now because of the pandemic, but not for long. That there's so much growth and so much opportunity and so much beauty in the world that comes with travel that I would, in my head, it's like, why wouldn't anybody do it? But I realize it's a very value-based profession, or if you could call it that, more of a lifestyle. If your values are more towards security and stability and raising a family, no judgment for me ever, but you probably won't enjoy the digital nomad lifestyle nearly as much as if someone that valued adventure and spontaneity and people who thrive under pressure, situations like that, did probably enjoy the digital nomad lifestyle a lot more. So that's what I've come to find over time. But I think, and I personally strongly believe this, everyone has a glimmer of wanting adventure and spontaneity in their life to some certain degree, whether it's a small degree or a large degree. That's completely dependent on the person.
Absolutely. I mean, I think of it also as those that do have family and kids. Now more and more people are taking vacations, but not taking the vacation days and having their laptop with them, able to jump onto their Zoom calls from wherever they are. And, I think that is a evolution of the digital nomad life.
And what I'm starting to see now too is a lot of digital nomad families being started. Like there was someone that is a friend of mine, actually. Her name's Julia Jerk, and she has been a digital nomad for nearly 10 years, has gotten married on the road, has gotten pregnant on the road, has had 2 kids on the road, and they're a family right now. They're living in Bali. I think they're moving somewhere else in a few months, but they've been a digital nomad family for the past 6 years.